even if I'm at the Diddy party, I'm there to tell. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm there to see who the is in here and what do y'all get from being in here.
The Diddy case just got real, and I assure you that you're not prepared for this. Williams just released some incredible video that has the potential to completely upend the industry. For a while now, people have been speculating about Diddy being involved in some sinister sacrificial activities, but this video may be the smoking gun the Fed has been waiting for. I'll go over everything Katt revealed in this video, as well as the reasons he ultimately chose to come forward. Let's get started long before Diddy's troubles began. Katt Williams' accusations and Diddy's continuing trial. One buddy who was attempting to alert everyone to the snake in the grass was Katt Williams, who had been posting the Bad Boy record. However, when Now,
I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no.
Back by 2 months to ensure that the proceedings would begin on May 5th as planned. ABC News is providing the trial with extensive coverage through a daily show called Burden of Proof. The case against Diddy was released on May 9th, 2025, and the 30-minute episodes analyze each day's events from the courtroom, with journalists and legal experts who are actually in there offering their opinions. Federal court rules prohibit video recording of the trial itself, but this program is giving people the inside scoop on what's happening. The case against Diddy is about much more than just Katt Williams running his.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed.
Speaking in the ongoing criminal trial for real, which includes a complex network of lawsuits, charges, and public declarations that collectively create a bizarre portrait of one of the most influential people in music claims in litigation, and the responses of celebrities people will likely cite November 16th, 2023 as the day Diddy's empire collapsed, because that is when Cassandra Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against him in Manhattan federal court under the New York Adult Survivors Act alleging assault and sex trafficking.
Anti-establishment, so I can never be the establishment. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm at the Diddy party, I'm there to tell. Nobody likes to have me around. I'm there for bad intentions.
This basically reinforced that he was always the outsider ready to expose industry secrets, sticking to what he'd been saying on Club Shay Shay.
Behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
10 years of outright violence combined with physical abuse. Although the lawsuit was settled out of court literally a day after it was filed on November 17th, 2023 with terms kept low. The allegations were already out there, and in May 2024, some explosive evidence hit the hotel security video showing Diddy violently attacking Cassie in a hallway. Cassie claimed that Diddy forced her to get down with male sex workers while he recorded everything, subjecting her to what they now call freak-offs. Additionally, she claimed that he forced himself on her in 2018 after she tried to move on from the relationship.
Now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs.
He says things, he doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruit.
And kicking her while she was down. Diddy later released an apology video saying, "My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions." Although he had been denying everything prior to the video's leak, he claimed he was sincerely sorry for what he had done. Cassie's lawsuit was only the beginning of Diddy's problems. What followed was a barrage of more accusations, many of which claimed Cassie gave them the confidence to speak their truth. As of May 1st, 2025, we currently represent 120 people who plan to file civil claims against Sean Diddy Combs.
It's not new news that this man is in a lot of trouble. That's right, Sean Diddy Combs has been behind bars for quite a while now, and he might never see the light of day again. One thing most people wonder is how Diddy roped in new members. Well, his methods were far from ordinary, as people are left petrified when they hear about it.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things.
From shady after parties to strict dress codes for partygoers, Diddy shocked the world with his antics. Now, we're going to look into some of these secret activities as they have finally come to light. The infamous all-white parties. Sean Diddy Combs is known for several things in the music industry. Due to recent events, one thing people are beginning to know him for is his strange and sometimes disturbing practices during his parties. One of his most famous events is his all-white parties. These all-white parties were often the talk of the summer, as anyone who was invited was on their way to the hottest party of the summer. These invites were reserved for some of Hollywood's top names and followed a strict dress code. All guests were expected to dress in all white. In an interview in 2006, Oprah Winfrey asked the disgraced businessman about his decision to make everyone don the same color. He responded that it was his dream to integrate his hip-hop lifestyle with the East Coast elite. He also wanted to strip away everyone's image and put us all in the same color and on the same level. Diddy reportedly started hosting the annual event over the Labor Day weekend in September 1998, and its initial location was his East Hamptons home. The venue would eventually change to places like Beverly Hills and Saint-Tropez in France. These parties served to mark his presence in the exclusive Hamptons community of New York. The A-list celebrity often recounts his first all-white party. "I had the craziest mix. Some of my boys from Harlem," he said. "Some residents of the area apparently thought the event was the end of the world. They quickly found out that it wasn't." The guest lists for these auspicious parties were never short of members of Diddy's close music circles and old money New Yorkers. The A-lister also described these parties as breaking down racial barriers, breaking down generation barriers. The all-white parties kept getting bigger and bigger as corporate sponsors hopped on board. Diddy often used these parties to launch various products, including colognes, vodkas, and even philanthropic efforts. Diddy's last recorded all-white party took place in 2009. This doesn't mean that he hasn't hosted other parties. As he stated in an interview, "They don't want me to throw the parties no more." He also added, "But we ain't gonna stop. We're gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life." The A-lister even makes a shocking prediction as he says, "They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we want to have a good time." This statement aged badly, as seen by recent events involving him. No one could compete against these parties, and as such, Diddy planned on making that a reality. "Have I read The Great Gatsby?" Diddy said to a reliable source. "I am the Great Gatsby." This statement doesn't end well, as it somewhat matches Gatsby's story. It was a story that showed how his so-called friends were nowhere to be found when he lost it all. Most people believe that the bigger a party gets, the more trouble is bound to happen during or after the party. This was definitely the case for these all-white parties, as some victims came forward and spoke about how they were forced to do all kinds of inhumane acts for the rich and powerful. None other than Diddy himself ordered these acts. Adult entertainer Adria Sherry English was bold enough to come forward and file a lawsuit against Diddy. She reported that she was hired as a dancer at Diddy's all-white parties in the early 2000s. This dream employment suddenly became a nightmare for her, as she claimed she was forced into participating in explicit activities there. English reported that these all-white parties seemed glamorous from the outside but had dark secrets. Some of these secrets involved certain exotic dancers being defiled against their wills. The adult entertainer claims she was coerced by Diddy's immense power and feared that her career would be ruined if she didn't oblige to his demands. He had also promised to assist her in building her career. She mentioned how drugs and alcohol were used to lower the inhibitions of participants, both willing and unwilling. She also said specific alcohol bottles were spiked with illegal substances and offered to women after the parties. The substances were used to make it easier for these women to fall prey to the devastating after-party events. English spoke about how the so-called real fun began after most guests had left later at night. These explicit activities occurred in heavily guarded rooms, and these guards prevented other people from knowing what was happening inside. Aside from the inhumane and abusive acts performed against both men and women during Diddy's wild after-parties, there were other ritualistic acts that were performed at these events that seemed rather scary to think about. Gene Deal gives an inside view of some of the activities that occurred at these parties. Gene begins his narration by talking about how John Benson and Kim Porter shared the same birthday. He also mentions the winter solstice, a day when pagans and believers in the cult look for the moon at 12 a.m. on the 12th of December. This seemed strange as the date and time would read 12/12/12. Gene states that several strange rituals were performed on that day, which was going to be the last day of the full moon.
That was going to be the last day of the full moon. And that means that the seasons and all that stuff has changed.
He also says that that was a period when believers paid homage to certain sacrifices and idols. Gene mentions how the ritualistic event ended on the third day with parties and making merry. It was also a part of the ritual for men to have intercourse with each other.
And on the third day, they would drink, party, be merry, and the men would have sex with each other.
He proceeds to ask viewers to do more research if they don't believe what he is saying. Gene says most people think these events are just parties, but have no idea what is truly going on. Another strange act performed by Diddy is how he gets his guests in the mood for these parties. In an interview with talk show host Conan O'Brien, Diddy slipped up and gave a small glimpse into his sick mind. He talks about how he locks women up, and this was a strange statement for someone to make. Conan himself seemed uncomfortable by this statement and where Diddy was going with it.
You know, so if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
It's a little kinky, but
yeah.
Rock with me.
Diddy tries covering up his slip-up and is seemingly successful.
You need a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Yeah.
Heat? You mean that physically the place has to be hot?
You don't have no air conditioning.
No air conditioning?
No.
Why is that?
Heat affects the alcohol, and it also affects, like, you know, everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose. Builds up a nice little sweat.
It's not news that these all-white parties were made public. Its date, location, and guest list were public, and paparazzi were even present to take photos of the event. However, Diddy kept his explicit parties a secret. Well, that is until his recent arrest and the swarm of people coming forward to accuse the disgraced A-lister of abusing them in one way or another. These parties are one of the major reasons Diddy is in his current predicament and are popularly called freak-offs. The freak-offs. One of the major actions committed by the disgraced A-lister is his unimaginable freak-offs. Some describe this event as simply an after-party, but others thought differently. It turns out these people were right, as multiple witness statements have shown that these weren't just random parties, but highly charged sexual performances. These performances were said to last for hours and even days. These terrifying activities involved several commercial sex workers, and their gender didn't limit their number. The business mogul was said to hire both male and female commercial sex workers who were to serve and entertain the prominent guests who were present at the event. The freak-offs were notoriously held at hotels across the globe. They were often described as elaborate and produced sex performances in which Diddy himself would book various hotels that would serve as locations for these performances. Sobriety was also not a common idea at these parties, as narcotics were in high demand. Diddy provided various forms of illicit and illegal drugs, including methamphetamine and cocaine. These drugs were used by performers to improve their performance and also keep them obedient. It also prevented these performers from refusing to participate in the freak-offs, causing the part to go on for extended periods. Some sources also stated that Diddy would invite underage girls to these parties and spike their drinks. Once the girls are unable to make decisions properly, he pounces and forces them to either have intercourse with him or do so with a hired sex worker. Diddy would also make videos of all these and store them for his twisted personal reasons. Parties like these are extremely difficult to plan alone, and rumor has it that Diddy's staff were also in on the preparation of these freak-offs. Some witnesses stated that Diddy's staff assisted in the acquisition and transportation of some narcotics and items used during these freak-offs. British model and TV host Precious Muir made a statement against Diddy as she recalled her experience at one of his parties. She thanks a deliberate decision she made during that event for saving her from a tarnished life and career. Muir recounts how the event was overwhelmed with drug use, coercion, and dangerous behavior. As a newcomer in the modeling and TV industry, my agent really wanted me to network. Muir attended several industrial parties, one of which happened to be a Diddy party. She recalled how there was intense pressure on many young women at the parties. These women were pressured and persuaded to consume spiked drinks and engage in drug use. Muir refused to use any of the drugs offered to her and says, "There were a lot of girls who didn't make it, a lot who gave up modeling or ended up in rehab." The TV personality also witnessed SUVs and shuttles picking up girls who were allegedly commercial sex workers and taking them to whatever party Diddy was hosting at the time. She also witnessed a lot of sexual interactions between people during these parties. According to Muir, the atmosphere was not conducive for children, but Diddy didn't hesitate to recruit underage girls. Security guards were present during these parties and were instructed to prevent partygoers from making personal videos. However, Diddy was allowed to make videos, and he also had several cameras around. The A-lister would later use this footage to blackmail anyone who attempted to talk against him. Muir is is considered lucky to have escaped the dehumanizing treatment most women faced at the hands of Diddy and his inner circle. One of the earliest recorded freak-off sessions was apparently in Diddy's hotel room. It occurred shortly after everyone had crossed into the new millennium and started off as a simple invitation. One of the victims of this freak-off, an ex-dancer named Rachel Kennedy, opened up about the incident and gave a detailed statement. In her statement, she mentioned that Diddy tricked her and her friends into coming to his hotel to have a party. Kennedy recounts how she and her friends were having drinks and Diddy asked to speak with her. This conversation led to him inviting them to his hotel for a personal party with the A-lister himself. He was asking for me and we started drinking and talking, she said. We hit it off, we're talking, and he invites me and my friends back to his hotel for a party. I took the girls with me and we went to Diddy's hotel. After agreeing to attend Diddy's so-called party, the girls go to his hotel. One shocking detail Kennedy mentioned was how Diddy responded to their knocking while wearing only a robe. He also had a bottle of champagne in his hand. The women had
It's safe to say that with Diddy's recent arrest, celebrities and notable figures who attended these parties and performed these rituals will be revealed. They inflicted on innocent men and women. If you enjoyed the video, don't go anywhere right now and get even more exciting content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next time.